Hello, so we will be taking a look at the Trimble Robotics No Data Setup. What this is very good for in educational settings would be doing a survey of your own room so that you can create some layout opportunities for your students, or in a commercial setting, taking an existing survey of a mechanical room so that you can create fabrications to that space. So the first thing we're going to do, we're using our RPT 600 here. We are going to connect up to our robot. In this case, we're using an RPT 600. So we'll go to Device, Connection, and we can choose our RPT right here and hit Connect. After our connection is successful, we can take a look at our temperature. That's pretty close to where we are. We're going to first create a new job here, so we'll go to More, Projects, Manage. To create a new job, we will hit Create down at the bottom left. We can name it. We'll name this No Data Setup. And then we'll just hit Create at the bottom. In this FieldLink version 6.8, we will need to make sure that our points file is yellow to do this. I don't need a field walk on here for spot, so I'll get rid of that, and I'm just going to hit open. Once we have our job created, now we can go to Device, and we can go to Setup. Setup lets us place our instrument into the real world, whether it's without any data involved or whether it's with a model. In this case, we have two options down here for this No Data Setup. This first one has an arrow pointing north. To set up simply using this, we just aim our robot with the laser or with the prism to whatever we want to call plan north. And that measurement that we would take after we hit set will just simply be plan north on our screen. However, many cases it's better to do this setup over here, where we will choose two different points and define a north along an existing wall. So if I click this, it tells us measure 2 or more locations to complete setup. So the first location we're going to measure is going to be our base coordinate. This base has an elevation involved in it. So if I go here to my pen and paper, make it yellow, then I can place an elevation on the first point that I measure. I like to make that first point 100. In case we go negative, then I won't be into negative numbers. So if I put 100 feet, close out, now I can go to my joystick, and I'm just going to use this joystick to drive my RPT to the first measure point. Now, I can do this in prism mode, or I can do it in laser mode. For interiors and for classroom settings, it's usually easier to do this with laser mode. So I'll click this button in the top left. You'll see that prism switch to laser mode, and now I have a laser in the real world. So now I can use this joystick to move my RPT to get it right onto that first point where it will be 100. So I got it horizontally where I need it. Now I'll just drag this up a little bit. And now I'm on the first corner of my room. So now whenever I shoot this in, I'll have that coordinate. I'll have my elevation set at 100. So now I'm going to hit measure. It'll just take a second here. And we're good. Now I can measure my north. To do this, I'll just move my joystick again to the other corner. And in this case, my view is obstructed at the bottom of the room, so I'm going to drive it up towards the corner of the room. And to get it very fine where you want it, remember, you can click and drag right in the middle of this screen. So now I have it on there. I can even switch to my camera view to show you what it looks like. It's right there. And now I'm going to hit this shoot button. So now we have 2 points. This one with elevation is our base point. Remember, our base has the elevation. This is our north point. Now that we have them both shot in, we need to select the north and base coordinate. So the base is second in this equation. The north is first. So if I go to this one, since there's no elevation, I know that's my north. I'll click there. There's my north. And there's my base. If I mess up, it's very simple. You can just unclick them and reselect which ones you need. So I'll click my north first, then I will click my base point. Now I can rotate this around on the map to choose which direction I want north. And in this case, I want this wall in between those 2 points to be my north. So I'll rotate it in that way and I'll just hit set. So from here, now I can start my survey of the existing room. So if I go to measure and collect, I'm still in laser mode up at the top left. I can just use my joystick or my camera. And so we can see some nice visuals. I'm going to switch to my camera here. Now I can move this over to the other corner. We'll see that in a second here. Okay, and when I get close, I can also just click on the screen here, right onto that corner. And I'm going to make a couple fine adjustments with my bump nudges at the bottom left and right here. Okay, and it's right on that corner. So now I can just start hitting collect. Measuring.
Observation stored.
Now I can drive it over to the other corner in the room. When I see it, I can just click on that corner. Okay, we're right on there. So now I'll hit collect again.
Observation stored.
And now we just have one final corner. Nope, actually, we have all of them right there. We do have an offset from here to here, though, because I have a bulkhead in my game room. So if I have a good line of sight, let's see if I can get the other corner, and we can outline the entire thing. Okay, we're right on there. We'll take another measurement.
Observation stored.
And finally, the little corner in the bulkhead.
Observation stored.
So that will be our entire outline of the room here. Our bulkhead will go parallel to this first point that I shot. And I might actually get rid of this because it's over into the other half of the room. I was just using it to get aligned to my actual wall line here. So let's start to do some connecting of the dots to actually make a plan. So if I just go to create and line work, I can click my points, and hit create. Now I do want to make a point that's directly up and over here. First, let's delete this line. So if I go to create and line work, I can get rid of that because I know it's not one that I need. Now, I want to make a 3D model of this view. So I could take all of these points here and I can go straight down to 100. So if I go to create and point manager, I can actually, first, I have 5 points selected here. I just want to do one at a time. If I change this point to 100 elevation, I'll name it 110 because I need to change the number or else it will just edit the point that I had selected. But if I make a new name and hit create, now you'll see there's a point directly below it at 100 feet, which was our base level elevation. So now I can do the same thing with all of these. This is also a great way to do things if you don't have line of sight to certain corners in your room. So if you can't shoot the floor because there's something in your way obstructing your laser, you can come right in here and just assume that the wall is plumb and make your own design. Now to get the other missing piece over here, since this one's over into the room and I was just using it for an angle, let's match this square because this does look relatively square here. So I'm going to match the same angle as this line going up here. To do that, let's just make an equidistant from this line over to here. So that will be in our X axes. So if I take a measurement, I can go from this point to this point, and our X difference is 8 foot 5 1/4. So I could go back to Point Manager here, create Point Manager, choose my line offset, start my line up here, choose point to point, do a single point offset. My start distance will be 0 feet from that line because it's way up at the top. My horizontal will be that 8 foot 5 1/4 inch. And now I have a point that's the same distance from this line over to this line up here. So if I hit create now, I can go to create line work, connect the dots, and finally go to Point Manager, back to my point editing, click on that, go down to 100 on my Z, and name the new point. Finally, go to line work, and just connect the dots. And just like that, I now have a 3D model that I could design some items in that the students can go lay out. So for example, if I wanted to do create, and let's do from model here, we'll do a midpoint on this line, create, let's do, we'll go into plan here and we'll just draw a few little points. We'll flip it over 90 degrees. Let's just say I want to point every 1 foot from on the ground there. Hit create a few times. Now I have a bunch of points on here that we can go and lay out. So if I would simply go to measure layout, firstly I could click on any of these points that I just measured. For example, I'll click this one, and now our robot is shooting up into the original corners that we made. So I'll pull up our camera so you can see that. It's right into that corner on the bulkhead. Or we can go to any of these points here, and we'll be able to lay out all of these points. Unfortunately, my robot's on a table, so it doesn't have a good line of sight to these, but you could use your prism or your laser to lay these points out. Thanks for checking it out. Give it a try. Let us know how it works out for you.